Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to 8-Bit Phonies. I'm TitansCreed from Project Phoenix Productions.
And I'm Sonic Yoda from Sega Driven.
And as you can tell right here, we're starting The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
So, fill me in with what you think about Ocarina of Time. Best Zelda game?
No, it's definitely not the best Zelda game. But it holds itself as like a soft place in my heart, because obviously the N64 was the first game console I ever played.
Okay.
So, and like it was obviously the first Zelda I ever played.
Okay.
So...
Well, so you didn't have like a Mega Drive or anything prior to that?
No, I did, but it was the first console that I bought myself.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
So, it obviously holds a soft spot in my heart, because that's when, I started making money.
I never really thought about like what console I first bought myself. It must be like the Dreamcast, to be honest with you, because like, I bought, like, it always seemed to be a case of like, when we bought consoles, I'd sort of share it with my dad.
Right.
So like PS1, PS2 was definitely like we bought together. Mega Drive I was like gifted. Probably was the Dreamcast, to be honest with you. So a little bit later than you.
A little bit later.
Yeah.
Not by much though.
Yeah, only another generation.
But yeah. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. But I mean, the first console you ever always buy yourself is something that I always think is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like your own independence, isn't it?
Pretty much. And we're playing this mostly because Lewis hasn't got on with it.
No, so I've been trying to play this via the GameCube port that came with Wind Waker.
Yep.
And not doing particularly too well. I just feel like it's, like design-wise, it's very confusing. I feel like it doesn't give you enough hints as to where you're supposed to be going next, what's the next step. I mean,
it gives you vague clues. Doesn't it? And like,
I appreciate that some of the like my mistakes with it have been my own. I've misread into things. Like I'll talk you through like bits and pieces as we get to them. But yeah, it has been aggravating me a little bit, and I got to a point with it where I basically worked my way through this entire hedge maze to get into the next dungeon, and when I got to the end of the hedge maze, it was like. Why can't I reach the door?
Right.
And it was a case of so I looked it up, and it was a case of I needed to get the hook shot, and there had been no like indication that I needed the hook shot prior to like working my way into that hedge maze.
Right.
So I was just a bit like, nah, I'm good. This game is clearly not for me.
I mean, you had problems.
So I got into adult Link territory anyway. I had no like idea how you're supposed to get a Epona, because it's just so like arbitrary. Like I looked up how you're supposed to do it, and it's like you have to challenge someone to like race 3 times or something, and it's like how do you know to continue to challenge them? Like it just seems very strange.
Well, I mean, it goes back to stuff you're meant to do as Child Link first, like. You'll see it. For the benefit of people who haven't played this game, we'll go through it as it comes.
I feel like I'm spoiling things. So,
I fully expect that you're going to turn around and go, "Why?"
Yeah. But I tell you what, one of the things I really like is that all the interiors are just like Resident Evil, where it's just like static images, and then you're just sort of like placed in front of it.
Shitty camera angles.
Hey, I don't mind that sort of thing, because you can direct like almost like a film would, like you've got the camera in a specific place.
Yeah,
it makes everything look quite dramatic. It's just that, as you can see, the background elements are obviously very low resolution, and like the 3D models are obviously high resolution, so it just looks like there's a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
Those haven't aged particularly well, but that's the same for any game that does.
No,
that.
Absolutely. For those before they're asking, we're playing on the Project 64 emulator, and I'm doing this with an Xbox controller, so it's massively more comfortable than the 64.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a random connect until I can actually get used to the controls again, because quite frankly, I've button mapped them to everything, and I can't remember which ones I've done. So,
I know the C stick we put on the right analog stick at the end. A should be A and X should be B, as per the.
Yeah,
and then
should
I
be.
think L and R is the triggers. Like we were mucking around with it before, because this is just the easiest way for us to like play a lot of these things and capture it, because as much as we do, own like the original hardware and the games and stuff, it's just a case of like this is the easiest way for us to get through it. Like I could have brought my GameCube and my disc and stuff, but like we don't have a way of capturing GameCube at the moment, which is a shame because obviously there's lots of stuff I'd like to capture on that console that we could play in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with trying to hook up the Wii. Essentially, it's
so hopefully in the future we'll getting into sort of like capture box territory, so that we can actually just plug in whatever and actually use original hardware, just because it's easier. But at the moment we're kind of relying on emulators a little bit. The only exception being that all the Wii stuff that we've been doing via a Wii U. So.
Anything with HDMI capture, I can capture. Like
nice and easy. So bit of a, And
I mean,
you get a little bit of understanding of what's going on behind the scenes there. So
yeah, I mean, essentially anything that's available on PC will. My rig is pretty decent and able to run things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is running at full speed, so.
Because I mean, you had a little bit of worriment when we were doing the fan games.
That's the thing. Because my rig is obviously not as powerful as Pete's, but I did a review of Sonic Time Twisted, and for whatever reason, when I was capturing, it was dropping frames. It made it run at like half speed, which is a little bit annoying. I basically put a little a message on the screen saying like this is not indicative of the final performance of the game, because it isn't. Like the game runs at like full 60 FPS and it's really nice and smooth.
Which you'll see if it hasn't already been released, then you'll see on Lewis's channel when the fan games actually come out that we recorded.
Yes, because we have done a Let's Play of it as well. So no issues on Pete's rig, but on mine it can be a little bit finicky.
Yeah, which is going to be because obviously like Lewis is more of a console chap.
Yeah, my PC rig was basically bought like second hand off a colleague at my last job, and while it's perfectly fine for what I need it to do, like I game with it quite a bit, but like it's not really up to spec for like current gen. It allows me to run sort of like anything that feels as powerful as like a PS3 or 360 game will run quite nicely on it.
Yeah.
But like for more demanding things like capturing, like there's a lot of stuff going on at any given point when you're doing capture, and it's not really enough.
It's just a little bit too much sometimes. That's what it is. But I don't know. I think we'll be having fun with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Kokiri sword.
I forgot the static text. Oh my god.
Oh, can you not skip it?
No.
That's because it's your first experience with stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Where is it? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Sorted. Yeah, might as well.
Right. So that is my A button.
Cool.
This is good. It's fine. I'm trying to direct the. Well, there's my Z button. That's good.
Oh, what for targeting?
Yep. I've always been a bit of a Z stick guy. It was evident when I grew up. No, I don't grow up, but yeah, when you grow up with those being like the main ways to play Zelda.
Oh, absolutely.
And when Breath of the Wild comes out, and like they put in this whole new parry mechanic, and you don't learn it until the final boss.
Yeah. No, like. When you play these games at launch, like you take with what you're given, like you get used to like control mechanics. Like obviously 3D action games nowadays are a little bit more intuitive, and the controls are now a little bit more just easy to pick up and play with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas at this point in time, they're still figuring out like how to do 3D like action games, and it's like right, okay, so we need a lock-on thing because. It's too difficult for people to worry about a second stick for a camera and things, and it's like as games have progressed, that's become a little bit more accessible. So
can't remember how much the shield cost. I think it's 40. Yeah.
So we're not going to grind for rupees now in this area.
Yeah.
I remember doing this. But yeah, like it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like it's still learning. But when you're playing it at the time, you don't really think about it because this is what you're given. Like you just learn to get on with it. It's like I really like the Resident Evil games, like the classic ones, and people feel like the old school tank controls now are a little bit sort of like unintuitive and not very nice for like, newbies. But like at the time, that was what you were given, so you just sort of got used to it.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, there's a big obviously disconnect between when you and I were kids and learning and playing games and.
Oh yeah. Like, look, I appreciate that. Even my dad, who I've been like playing games with for like most of my life, he still has a very difficult like time with any games that have twin stick controls. Like FPSs for him are just like, you can tell he's really struggling with the fact that like he's basically got to. It's almost like he's two sides of his brain having to work at the same time, sort of thing. Like worrying about movement and like your aim and camera control with another stick at the same time is
it
doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. But like I do feel like that's kind of assumed of people who play games now. It's like you kind of just have to get on with that. And I think like it's one of the things we've spoken about in the past regarding 3D like Sonic fan games, is that like the ones that like have the camera control on the second stick, that's fine for people like us who have played games all our bleeding life, and we understand that. But like if you think about the target audience for a Sonic game, like camera controls are just a bit of a pain in the bum. Like it's a platform game. It's aimed at like a younger generation. Like they shouldn't have to worry about camera controls. So that's why an awful lot of the time Sonic games in particular, like they take camera controls away from you just so that you don't have to worry about it, and you can just worry about the platforming.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's just another example really. But yeah, so I can understand like those sort of things can be difficult, but at the same time, like if you familiarise yourself with gaming enough, especially if you've been playing it long enough, as we have, like going through the history of it.
Yeah,
it's you just get to like grips with things. I remember when I first played a twin stick game, and it was just like, what? This is weird. I think it was Time Splitters, the original Time Splitters on PS2, and just like, I can't grasp all this stuff happening at once, and that's a fast old game as well.
Time Splitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very quick.
But it was of that era of like, just like all the FPSs at that time were always very quick. Like, it all come from like Doom and Quake and stuff. And Quake 3 Arena in particular is a really fast game. Unreal Tournament's a really fast game.
Quake is horrendously quick.
But like that was just the way like first-person shooters were at the time. Like it was always like a fast action game. Nowadays they're more careful and considered, and a lot of first-person shooters now are obviously very story-driven instead of like being just like complete balls-to-the-wall action. Although there's a few that like obviously take it a little bit differently. I've been recently playing the Rise of the Triad remake.
Yep,
that's a really fast game, almost too fast. I'm having a hard time with it, but it's a cool little thing, and it obviously, I think it evokes like the feel of the original one really well. And I've been playing Strafe as well. You've seen anything about that one?
I saw Strafe, yeah, as it was coming out and being made, yeah.
So yeah, like I wanted to give it a go just because I like that style of like old school sort of Quakey, just like really fast FPSs. But they mixed it with like rogue gameplay, so like yeah, you get permadeath and then you obviously lose all your power ups and guns and shit. So it's basically like you're always working towards like a checkpoint.
Okay.
And then if you'll be from there, you can like keep your upgrades, but you still have to play through the levels prior to it. You get better as it goes on, but it is a tough old thing.
So, yeah. Before we go in here,
right? I
just wanted to say like a small thing about this
go on.
Is that have you ever played Landstalker?
Yeah, I own it. I've got a Japanese copy,
yeah.
But like it's difficult to play for me. So
well, obviously, it might be something we play, but it's a long old game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you ever did it, but there was a way you could portal around the map by using trees. And
you okay.
Always enter their mouths. And when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Yeah.
So it brought back like Visions of Landstalker, which is another game I grew up with.
Yeah. You reckon it's like perhaps a little bit of a nod to it, maybe?
Maybe, but I think it might be more of a throwback to other Zelda things. I'm not entirely that. No, I don't know too much about.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, let's get started with the Deku Tree.